Good morning dear students. Today in this video we are going to discuss the questions given in the exercise part of the lesson chemical reactions and equations. Let us see the first question. Which of the statements about the reaction below are incorrect? 2PbO plus C gives rise to 2Pb plus CO2. Here given options are A. Lead is getting reduced. B. Carbon dioxide is getting oxidized. C. Carbon is getting oxidized. D. Lead oxide is getting reduced. What they are asking? Which of the statements are incorrect? Let us observe the chemical equation. In the reactant side, lead oxide is converted as lead in the reagent side. Here, lead oxide loses oxygen from it. That means lead oxide is getting reduced. And also the carbon in the reactant side is converted as carbon dioxide in the reagents. That means carbon getting oxygen. That means carbon is getting oxidized. So here lead oxide is getting reduced and carbon is getting oxidized. But they are asking incorrect options. Option A, lead is getting reduced. It is incorrect. And B, carbon dioxide is getting oxidized. It is also incorrect. So our answer is first option. That is A and B. Now we are going to the second question. Fe2O3 plus 2Al gives rise to Al2O3 plus 2Fe. The above reaction is an example of a dash. A. Combination reaction. B. Double displacement reaction. C. Decomposition reaction. And D. Displacement reaction. As we can see here, aluminium displaces iron from iron oxide to form aluminium oxide. That means it is a displacement reaction. So our answer is D. Displacement reaction. Let us see the third question. What happens when dilute hydrochloric acid is added to iron fillings? Tick the correct answer. Options A. Hydrogen gas and iron chloride are produced. B. Chlorine gas and iron hydroxide are produced. C. No reaction takes place. And D. Iron salt and water are produced. Here dilute hydrochloric acid is added to iron fillings. That means acid reacts with metal. We know that if a metal is react with acid, hydrogen gas liberated. So here dilute hydrochloric acid is react with iron, we get hydrogen gas and iron chloride. So option A is correct. Hydrogen gas and iron chloride are produced. Now let us see the fourth question. What is a balanced chemical equation? Why should chemical equation be balanced? Let us see the definition of a balanced chemical equation. When the total number of atoms of each element is same on both sides in a chemical equation, then the chemical equation is said to be a balanced chemical equation. For example, magnesium react with sulfuric acid, we get magnesium sulfate plus hydrogen. Here the chemical equation is Mg plus H2SO4 gives rise to MgSO4 plus H2. As we can see in this equation, all atoms magnesium, hydrogen, sulfur and oxygen are equal number on both sides. And why should chemical equation be balanced? Chemical equation must follow the law of conservation of mass. So the chemical equation should be balanced. Then only they can follow the law of conservation of mass. And fifth question. Translate the following statements into chemical equations and then balance them. A. Hydrogen gas combines with nitrogen to form ammonia. We know that formula of hydrogen is H2, nitrogen is N2 and ammonia is NH3. So the equation is H2 plus N2 gives rise to NH3. Now let us balance it. The number of nitrogen atoms in reactants are 2, but in the reagents is 1. So we take the coefficient of ammonia as 2, we get 2 nitrogens. Here the reagent side, the number of hydrogen atoms are 2 3s are 6, but in the reactant side we get only 2 hydrogen atoms. So write down 3 as coefficient for hydrogen, we get 3H2 in the left hand side. The balanced equation is 3H2 plus N2 gives rise to 2NH3. B. Hydrogen sulfide gas burns in air to give water and sulfur dioxide. That means hydrogen sulfide plus oxygen gives rise to water plus sulfur dioxide. The chemical equation is H2S plus O2 gives rise to H2O plus SO2. Let us see for the oxygen atoms. In the left hand side we have 2 and in the right hand side we have 1 plus 2, 3 atoms. Let us write 2 coefficient for H2O, we get 2H2O plus SO2. If we write 2 coefficient for H2O, we should write 2 coefficient for H2S in the left hand side. Then the number of sulfur atoms in the left hand side are 2. So we should write 2 as coefficient for sulfur dioxide in the right hand side. Now the oxygen atoms in the right hand side are 2 plus 2 2s are 4, total 6. But in the left hand side we have only 2 oxygen atoms. So take 3 as coefficient for O2 in the left hand side. Now the chemical equation is balanced. The balanced chemical equation is 2H2S plus 3O2 gives rise to 2H2O plus 2SO2. And now C. Barium chloride reacts with aluminium sulfate to give aluminium chloride and a precipitate of barium sulfate. The chemical equation is BaCl2 plus Al2SO4 thrice gives rise to AlCl3 plus BaSO4. Let us balance the chemical equation. In the left hand side 2 aluminium atoms are there. So take 2 coefficient as aluminium chloride, 2AlCl3. Here chlorine atoms are 2 3s are 6 in right hand side. We should write 3 as coefficient for barium chloride in the left hand side. Chlorine atoms are okay, but what about barium? 3 barium atoms are there in the left hand side, so we should write 3 coefficient as BaSO4 in the right hand side. Now the chemical equation be balanced. The balanced chemical equation is 3BaCl2 plus Al2SO4 thrice gives rise to 2AlCl3 plus 3BaSO4. D. Potassium metal reacts with water to give potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Chemical equation for this reaction is K plus H2O gives rise to KOH plus H2. Let us balance it. The number of hydrogen atoms in left hand side are 2 and in the right hand side is 1 plus 2, 3. So if we take 2 as coefficient for KOH in the right hand side, we have 2 plus 2, 4 hydrogen atoms in the right hand side. Now take 2 coefficient for H2O in the left hand side, we have 2 2s are 4 hydrogen atoms. Here there are 2 potassium atoms in the right hand side. So we take 2 coefficient as potassium in the left hand side to balance it. This is the balanced chemical equation. What is this? 2K plus 2H2O gives rise to 2KOH plus H2. Now let us see the 7th question. Write the balanced chemical equations for the following reactions. A. Calcium hydroxide plus carbon dioxide gives rise to calcium carbonate plus water. The chemical equation is CaOH twice plus CO2 gives rise to CaCO3 plus H2O. It is already a balanced chemical equation. And B, zinc plus silver nitrate gives rise to zinc nitrate plus silver. The chemical equation is Zn plus AgNO3 gives rise to ZnNO3 twice plus Ag. If we balanced it, the chemical equation should be Zn plus 2AgNO3 gives rise to ZnNO3 twice plus 2Ag. C. Aluminium plus copper chloride gives rise to aluminium chloride plus copper. The chemical equation is Al plus CuCl2 gives rise to AlCl3 plus Cu. The balanced chemical equation is 2Al plus 3CuCl2 gives rise to 2AlCl3 plus 3Cu. D. Barium chloride plus potassium sulfate gives rise to barium sulfate plus potassium chloride. The chemical equation is BaCl2 plus K2SO4 gives rise to BaSO4 plus KCl. The balanced chemical equation is BaCl2 plus K2SO4 gives rise to BaSO4 plus 2KCl. Now coming to the 8th question. Write the balanced chemical equation for the following and identify the type of reaction in each case. A. Potassium bromide plus barium iodide gives rise to potassium iodide plus barium bromide. The balanced chemical equation is 2KBr plus BaI2 gives rise to 2Ki plus BaBr2. In this reaction, both the reactants exchange constituents to form two new products. Hence, it is a double displacement reaction. B. Zinc carbonate gives rise to zinc oxide plus carbon dioxide. The balanced chemical equation is ZnCO3 gives rise to ZnO plus CO2. In this reaction, a single substance decomposes into two different products. Hence, it is a decomposition reaction. C. Hydrogen plus chlorine gives rise to hydrogen chloride. The balanced chemical equation for this reaction is H2 plus Cl2 gives rise to 2HCl. In this reaction, two different reactants react with each other to form a single product. Hence, it is called a combination reaction. D. Magnesium plus hydrochloric acid gives rise to magnesium chloride plus hydrogen. The balanced chemical equation is Mg plus 2HCl gives rise to MgCl2 plus H2. In this reaction, more reactive magnesium is replacing less reactive hydrogen. Hence, it is a displacement reaction. 9th question. What does one mean by exothermic and endothermic reactions? Give examples. In chemical reactions that release heat energy are called exothermic reactions. For example, carbon plus oxygen gives rise to carbon dioxide plus heat energy. In chemical reactions that heat energy is absorbed are called endothermic reactions. For example, calcium carbonate plus heat gives rise to calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. Coming to the 10th question. Why is respiration considered as an exothermic reaction? Explain. In respiration, oxidation of glucose takes place, which produces a large amount of heat energy. This is known as exothermic reaction. So, respiration is considered as an exothermic reaction. The chemical equation for this is C6H12O6, that is glucose, plus 6O2 gives rise to 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus heat energy. Now let us see the 11th question. Why are decomposition reactions called the opposite of combination reactions? Write equations for these reactions. In a combination reaction, two or more substances react to form a single product. In a decomposition reaction, a single reactant breaks down into more than one product. Second point, usually heat or energy is produced in combination reactions. Usually heat or energy is absorbed in decomposition reactions. Third point, general equation for combination reaction is A plus B gives rise to C. General equation for decomposition reaction is A gives rise to B plus C. Fourth point, example for combination reaction is CaO plus H2O gives rise to CaOH twice. Example for decomposition reaction is CaCO3 gives rise to CaO plus CO2. By observing these 4 points, we can say decomposition reactions are referred to as the opposites of combination reactions. Now let us look at the 12th question. Write one equation each for decomposition reactions where energy is supplied in the form of heat or light or electricity. The decomposition reaction where energy is supplied in the form of heat is calcium carbonate gives rise to calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. The chemical equation is CaCO3 gives rise to CaO plus CO2. The decomposition of reaction where energy is supplied in the form of light is silver bromide gives rise to silver plus bromine. The chemical equation is 2AgBr gives rise to 2Ag plus Br2. The decomposition reaction where energy is supplied in the form of electricity is water gives rise to hydrogen gas plus oxygen gas. The chemical equation is 2H2O gives rise to 2H2 plus O2. Next, 13th question. What is the difference between displacement and double displacement reactions? Write equations for these reactions. A displacement reaction occurs when a more reactive ingredient displaces a less reactive element out of its compound. The displacement reaction involves both metals and nonmetals. Example, CuSO4 plus Zn gives rise to ZnSO4 plus Cu. Here, zinc being more reactive than copper displaces it to form zinc sulfate. When both the reactants exchange constituents to form two new products, this is known as a double displacement reaction. It usually takes place in watery solutions. Example, Na2SO4 plus BaCl2 gives rise to BaSO4 plus 2NaCl. In the reaction above, sodium and barium displace each other to give different products. 14th question. In the refining of silver, the recovery of silver from silver nitrate solution involved displacement by copper metal. Write down the reaction involved. Answer, first point. Refining of silver. Copper metal reacts with silver nitrate aqua solution and form copper nitrate aqua solution and silver metal. Second point. In this reaction, copper occupies the place of silver by displace it from silver nitrate. So, this is a chemical displacement reaction. The chemical reaction is Cu plus 2AgNO3 gives rise to CuNO3 twice plus 2Az. And now coming to the 15th question. What do you mean by a precipitation reaction? Explain by giving examples. If a precipitate is formed in a chemical reaction, it is called a precipitate reaction. For example, PbNO3 twice plus 2Ki gives rise to PbI2 plus 2KNO3. Here, lead iodide is a precipitate. Another example is BaCl2 plus Na2SO4 gives rise to BaSO4 plus 2NaCl. Here, BaSO4 is precipitate. Precipitates are indicated with the downward arrow mark in the reactions. Now let us see 16th question. Explain the following in terms of gain or loss of oxygen with two examples each. A. Oxidation. B. Reduction. Oxidation. The addition of oxygen to a substance is called oxidation. For example, magnesium react with oxygen gives us magnesium oxide, and copper reacts with oxygen and gives us copper oxide. B. Reduction. The removal of oxygen from a substance is called reduction. For example, copper oxide plus hydrogen gives rise to copper plus H2O. In this reaction, copper oxide is losing oxygen, so it is being reduced to copper. Another example is ZnO plus C gives rise to Zn plus CO. In this reaction, zinc oxide ZnO is reduced by zinc by the loss of oxygen. Next, 17th question. A shiny brown colored element X on heating in air becomes black in color. Name the element X and the black colored compound formed. Brown colored element X is copper. The black colored substance is copper oxide. When brown color copper is heated, it reacts with oxygen and forms black color copper oxide CuO. 2Cu plus O2 gives rise to 2CuO. 18th question. Why do we apply paint on iron articles? Iron articles, when exposed to moist air, corrosion will take place. To prevent iron from corrosion, it is better to apply paint on them. The painting helps to slow down the oxidation process. 19th question. Oil and fat containing food items are flushed with nitrogen. Why? The main reason for flushing of nitrogen to feed stuffs containing oil and fat products is to prevent rancidity. Oil and fat, when mixed with oxygen, give bad smell and taste. Flushing of nitrogen acts as an antioxidant to reduce oxidation and prevent rancidity. Last question, 20th one. Explain the following terms with one example each. Corrosion, rancidity. A. Corrosion. When some metals are exposed to moisture, acids, etc., they tarnish due to the formation of respective metal oxide on their surface. This process is called corrosion. Examples: the black coating on silver, green coating on copper, etc. B. Rancidity. Rancidity is an oxidation reaction. When fats and oils are not used for a long time, they get oxidized and their smell and taste changes. This process is called rancidity. Example: oil becomes rancid due to the decomposition of fats it contains. Another example: butter changes its smell and taste when it is kept in an open place for a longer duration. Dear students, I hope you understood all these 20 questions. I provide PDF file for this notes in this description of this video. Please check it out and write your notes.